You are listening to the Horse Radio Network, part of the Equine Network family.
What a beautiful day for horses in the morning.
You are listening to the #1 horse podcast in the world. Here is your entertaining look at the horse world and the people in it.
Well, good Wednesday morning, everybody. I am Glenn the Geek in Ocala, Florida.
And I'm Jamie Jennings in Norman, Oklahoma, and you're listening to Horses in the Morning on the Horse Radio Network for Wednesday, February 19th, episode 3630, brought to you today by State Line Tack. Happy National Arabian Horse Day. That seems racist.
Ah, Wednesday, the day we cover Glenn's favorite topic, horse health. And Jamie makes you feel better about yourself with the latest weird news from around the world. Happy Wednesday.
What's also National Mint Chocolate Chip Ice Cream Day. So,
see, like it's really keeping the other breeds and the other types of ice cream out. Like, why do we have to have a special day for like mint chocolate chip ice cream?
I didn't
know there
vanilla? I didn't know till this morning there was a National Arabian Horse Day, but apparently there is. So there you go. And we learned on studies show the other day that ice cream's good for you and you should eat it all. So there you
that's
go.
True. That's true. We're just highlighting all the good things in the world. I would love to say that we're having our new breeds of the alphabet segment today, and we are not highlighting the Arabian horse.
No, we're at C, so we're doing Chincoteague Pony today on the show. We're past A. We're done with A.
National Arabian Horse Day. That's the only time you're going to hear the word Arabian in this entire episode.
That's right. That's correct. Also, Dr. Kristi's going to join us and answer some of your questions about your latest Craigslist horse. So we're going to do that.
He's so sweet.
Jennifer said, "What did she do now?" She asked me the other day. I said,
okay.
I don't even think she was drunk for this one. You weren't even drunk for this one, were you?
I was not. And if you recall, there was a little bit of drama in telling the husband that I purchased a horse.
Did he find it by himself, first of all? That's the first question.
Oh, do you want to know now? Okay, I'll tell you.
You want to know? Yeah, I got to know.
Okay, so he was on a trip. He came home and we went down to the barn yesterday, and it's so cold and it was snowing and freezing rain. And so I had brought all the horses in, and it started freezing rain at like 6, and I didn't get down to the barn till 7. So all the horses were covered in ice. Advantage me. So they all come in the barn. And so we have, the only brown horses I have is Duke, who is, in his own special Duke stall. He has his own double stall. So we know which one that is. And then we have Maverick, who's this little buckskin. And then we have this horse who's a little dun, but they're covered in ice. And the way that their manes stuck up, it was like it looked like Don, what's that guy's name, with that crazy hair, and he has a hair sticking up, and Chad's staring at him, and I'm standing next to him, and I was like, "Look at this guy's mane," and he's like, "Man, Maverick sure looks weird with that hair like that," and I was like, "Oh, really? Well, what about that horse?" And I pointed him to Maverick, and he goes, "Wait, who the hell is that?" Because I was like standing next to him. I'm like, "Look at this horse! Wow, look at this one! It sure looks frozen." I was trying everything in the world, and what I realized is I did not like keeping that a secret. I wanted to share with him the story of getting this horse because he loves the drama and he doesn't get mad that we get horses.
So you weren't sleeping on the couch that night?
I did not, but I was like, "Babe, this is," I'm like, "I promise." And then I have to defend him. Like, he's like, "I didn't even know you were looking for a horse." I'm like, "I wasn't, but he was on Craigslist and he needed me and I need him and I love him so much and he's so good. I did so good and he was so cheap. It was like, he was free. Like, I did all the things." And so he wasn't mad at all, of course, because, it's not an animal that has to live in his house. So he doesn't care.
That's right.
He's
probably just happy it's not another dog.
Yeah, exactly. As long as he doesn't have to pay for it and doesn't live in his house, he's fine. You do you, boo, is kind of the thing. But I was kind of bummed. Like, I wanted to share with him. So I'm trying to recap the story. And I was like, just listen to the podcast. I talked about it. But he did you remember I was going to let Ginger name him because Ginger hasn't named a horse yet. And she went to the one who went to go get him. And so we have Maverick. And so she wanted to name him Goose. And he was like, what's his name? And I was like, well, he came with a name, but I let Ginger change it. And so she called him Goose. And he was like, absolutely not. I was like, what? It's like a fighter pilot call sign. He was like, yeah. I've known too many Gooses. I was like, what are you saying? And then he was like, don't you remember Goose from Arizona? And I was like, oh my God, you're right. That guy was a dick. He's like, yeah. He goes, I know too many Gooses. Nobody's called Maverick. Nobody's call sign is Maverick anymore, but people still get called Goose. So anyway, he was like, no, what was his old name? And I was like, his name when we bought him was Kyle. And he was like, that's the greatest name I've ever heard. His name is Kyle.
It is kind of, after looking at his pictures, it is kind of appropriate, actually.
Well, what's funny is Larissa, my best friend's husband, is named Kyle. So I was like, think of the joke overload I can do. It's like, Larissa, I rode your husband. I rode Kyle today. I got him really sweaty. Like, there's so many jokes I could do. And then Chad's like, now you've made it weird. Yeah. Like, too late. It's Kyle.
All right. Well, I'm glad you didn't have to sleep on the couch last night. We are going to be asking some questions because he hasn't had much health care in the last 10 years. So Dr. Kristi's going to join and answer Jamie's questions on horses that haven't had much health care in the last 10 years. Plus, in the Auditor Post Show, we have our highlight auditor today is Holly Pryor from Texas. So we're going to learn all about Holly and get to meet her. And I got to apologize for my voice. We'll hope it holds up. The whole thing, I got the cold that's going around, so it's just my turn, I guess. And I know that all of you that haven't had the cold are getting it. Ashley had her baby in the ER the other morning because the baby couldn't breathe from having the cold. So it's better now. So got the drugs.
Like, she had her baby months ago.
Yeah, no, had to bring her in at like 4 a.m. or bring him in because he couldn't breathe right. But he's good now. He's better 2 days later with all the medicine. So we're all getting over it. I know you have 5 degrees and half the country's getting a snowstorm today. So we're thinking about all of you. And a good news, New Vocations is is it a rescue technically? I guess
it's a racehorse adoption center. So basically, it's
not a rescue.
They serve a purpose of a rescue, but you try to think of horses that are being responsibly retired off the racetrack, not as rescues, as just ready for their second career. So I'm real careful about saying I've rescued horses because, it's a thing, but
they're
New
not
Vocations,
coming from, derelict barn with, horses that haven't been fed in 10 years.
Especially New Vocations in Kentucky. These horses look better than mine will ever look.
Well, they do good work, and we worked with them for years here at the Horse Radio Network, and I just wanted to say that they came out with their impact report for 2024, and they helped over 600 horses. 506 of them were thoroughbreds, and 94 were standardbreds. And they took in horses from 75 different racetracks and adopted horses out in 36 different states. They had a total of 913 adoption applications last year. Now, not all of them go through, right? So that's why the number is 600. The average stay for a horse in their program is 119 days, which I didn't know. I wouldn't have known that number, but good on them. They do good work.
Less or more?
The number of days? I would have thought less, actually.
Oh, yeah. See, that's what I like about New Vocations, and kind of what we got into here was, the racehorses need a lot of downtime once they come off the track. So they just get downtime before anybody even messes with them. And then this is how they do it at Horse and Hound too. And then once they get the downtime and they start to feel better and get more normalized, then they begin training, which is what is awesome about New Vocations is they put all the horses, like, kind of assess their personality and understand, like, that they're good, hopefully get them adopted to the right person,
I have 2 auditor birthdays today, and one of the auditors has a hard to say last name, so I'm just going to use first name. Jana and Samantha. You both have birthdays today, and happy birthday to both of you. Got away with it that time.
I would like to give a daily Whinnie out to, well, first of all, my husband. Yesterday, it is so insane here, the weather, and we had freezing rain, and then it's now 5 degrees. So there is a sheet of ice on the roads. Like nobody can go anywhere. But Chad's parents have been out of town and flew in to Oklahoma last night. I cannot believe their flight was not canceled, but they flew in and they landed at 11 o'clock last night. Well, his dad's like 80 and he's like, I'll drive home in my 2-wheel drive pickup truck. Like, no, you won't. So Chad left last night. He left at 10 and he got home at 2 o'clock in the morning, driving the 40 minutes. And of course, like we got my car because it has all-wheel drive. So he was like vacillating between taking our truck 4-wheel drive. I was like, just take my car, you know. And as he's leaving, I was like, please, please, please be careful. He was like, I won't mess up your car. And I was like, I don't care about my car. I was like, what about you going into a ditch? But he that was just like superhero moment. And I mean, I was like, I can't believe your parents just get a hotel room. And he was like, my dad, he's just going to try to drive home.
I can't believe the flight wasn't canceled. It's like
every other flight. You know what it was? You know why it wasn't canceled? Because they were flying on American Airlines. I looked and like every other airline canceled all the flights into Oklahoma City, but American.
With all the problems lately, I would have thought everything would have been canceled. It's like not taking a chance.
Right?
Well,
planes flipping over like crazy and everything. Yeah, no, so he was able to get him home and got him home safe, and I got home at like 1:30 in the morning. It was insane.
Well, good for him.
Everybody, please be careful in the weather. It is just awful.
And I know it's continuing across the country. So we have one quick announcement before we get to our breeds of the alphabet. We're at the letter C right now. Is we will have the announcement tomorrow about the final Horse Lovers Cruise in 2026. It will be in Alaska in May of next year. I am getting together with Vicki today to record the video we do every year, introducing it. There'll be a special episode posted on your Auditor feed tomorrow, the audio feed for Horses in the Morning and the Auditor feeds. There'll be so look for that if you're interested in doing the cruise at all. Listen to that or take a look at the video that will be in the Auditor Facebook group. So that's the details there. This one's a little different in that we couldn't get group pricing, so she's doing the best she can, but you'll have to book quickly on this one. You won't have 6 months to make up your mind on this one. And cruises are sell out all the time in Alaska, so we have to act rather quickly. We're actually late to this game. We probably should have done this about 6 months ago. But next up, we have Cindy Faith. She's the assistant director of the Museum of the Chincoteague Islands. And she is going to be talking about our breed of the alphabet.
It's time for Breeds of the Alphabet. From Arabians to zebras, we take you on an adventure, highlighting a breed for every letter of the alphabet. Can we do it? Stay tuned in 2025 and find out.
As I said, we have Cindy on. She is director of the Museum of Chincoteague Island, and she is on to talk about Chincoteague ponies. Hi, Cindy.
Hi, how are you?
Good. I'm so glad you're joining us today. I'm glad that we're doing Chincoteague ponies for the C in our breeds of the alphabet because we talk about them every year. We cover the swim. We have had so many of our listeners adopt ponies at the auction and otherwise. So I'm so glad that you're here. Now, you're with the museum. What is the Museum of Chincoteague Island? Let's start there.
So the Museum of Chincoteague Island has actually been around for 53 years. Originally, it opened as the Oyster Museum. Can you believe that? That was the focus back then, the seafood industry. But quickly they realized, there was a much fuller picture to be shared.
And cute ponies beat oysters? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Slightly, just slightly. And so they reinvented the museum. It's really like a walk through Chincoteague history. And of course, ponies play a big part of that for sure.
How did the Chincoteague ponies end up on the islands in the first place?
Good question. That's the mystery, right? So if you look at legend, the legend is, of course, that they came from shipwrecks, Spanish galleons, and there actually, as of just a few years ago, there is DNA evidence that shows that, in fact, these ponies do have their lineage back to Spanish Mustangs. So that gives us, validity to that story. But tied into that also is that this is an area where colonial people would let their animals roam on Chincoteague Island. It's, 14,000 acres of grazing and lots of free grass over there. So you would have had not only Spanish Mustangs over there hundreds of years ago, but people started to have other animals there as well, cattle and pigs and sheep and all that. So there's a chance that some of those wild Mustangs ended up being bred with domesticated horses from somewhere else. That's a big, soup of mystery there. That really isn't something that we can say with any kind of confidence. So for this day, I would like to say that for sure they're partially from Spanish Mustangs. And that's the exciting part that everybody likes to hear anyway.
And as I understand it, this is like the 1600s. This is even, before we were country. Am I correct?
Yes. So the first people living here on Chincoteague were indentured servants that were brought over here to kind of watch over the land and livestock in 1670. So that's really going way back just a few decades after Jamestown is settled. So we are definitely, not the United States of America. We're a British colony. And people are coming here to settle. It's not that long after that people start talking about, just in dialogue and in stories and letters to each other, that there are wild horses living over on the barrier island. So it goes way, way back.
I read, and I don't know if this is true, but I read that penning actually began in the 1700s, basically as an excuse to have a big eating party. But it was also to get the ponies in, and gather them up and that kind of thing. Do your records show that it started that early?
Yes. So you have just brought up one of my most favorite parts of pony penning, and that is homecoming. And if we went back in time before there was a fire department, before, Chincoteague is a, incorporated town and all that, and we go back to those colonial times, and you've got all these animals living over on Assateague, it just makes sense that annually, or even more so, you're going to have to get some people together and take care of these animals. They need care, they need maintenance. And so you would have these roundups that took place over there. The sheep are a good example because that was a very popular event in the 1800s, the sheep penning. And you couldn't just do it with a handful of people that lived around here. You had to call in the resources. You had to call in the families that had moved away. You've got kin on the mainland. You're going to call everybody over and take care of the work at hand. But after all the work is done, there was a big party that happened in the evenings, and it was a huge celebration. People look forward to that just like we would look forward to Christmas today. It was the biggest event on Chincoteague, even hundreds of years ago. And it's because of that event happening here that when the fire department was established 100 years ago, and they're looking for something to do to raise money desperately for this, equipment that they need, they grabbed hold of something that they were already doing successfully. People already loved it and made it their own event. And really, that's to me the most special part, because people even today celebrate it and call it homecoming here on the island. And if you don't know the backstory, you don't know why it's called homecoming, but it goes back to the beginning of people living here.
What I think is funny about all of that is today when we need help moving, we offer beer to our friends and family to help us move. And apparently that stems from the 1700s. It worked back then too.
Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed for sure. Yeah, it was a big event. And, it's funny to look at some of the records. It was sheep penning that was the big deal in like the 1870s and 1880s. That was a lot of work, but there was a whole lot of partying going on with that. So we haven't evolved much from there.
Well, that's interesting. And so beyond size, what is the distinguishing characteristic of a Chincoteague pony?
So there'll be people listening who are much more savvy in this area than I am. But just as a, layman going out and seeing them, of course, having lived out in the wild and all that, they do get a very shaggy coat in the winter. Their tails are extremely long. I'm sure over time that's became useful with all the biting flies and things over there. Hardy. But for people who are purchasing Chincoteague ponies and bringing them home, I hear this all the time, that they are patient and calm. And I would think, since their stature is smaller and it tends to be a riding horse for children, you want an animal that is not going to be flighty and a little bit more patient with your children riders. So I know people do purchase them with that in mind, that is something that they're known for. They do have, great markings over there now, a lot of paints, and people can identify every horse, of course, by their markings out there. That wasn't always the case. They used to all be pretty much chestnut, with very few having any splashes of color. Over time, that has changed. But back in the day, they were a little bit more, neutral out there.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. When did this really become popular to the point where tens of thousands of people show up for the swim now?
Misty of Chincoteague, for sure. So the fire department establishes in the 1920s. Absolutely, without a doubt, it is regionally a very popular event. People are coming from the mid-Atlantic and a little bit further than that. It is written about in books. It's written about in magazines. But once Marguerite Henry comes here in 1946 and writes the book, Misty of Chincoteague, which is published the next year, not only does she get such acclaim for that book because it's so well written and the illustrations are fantastic, but now Chincoteague is on this national or international stage. The book is in many other countries. It's in 7 different languages, so it is worldwide at that point. So it just brings a whole new interest to Chincoteague. You can see it with the news reels that come out in the 1940s. It just becomes part of people's vacation times. They all want to come here for pony penning, or they want to come here for just to see the ponies. It's also the 1940s that Assateague is purchased by the refuge system. So it is no longer up for grabs. It's not ever going to be developed. It becomes this haven for those ponies. So those two things combined make this a place for people to come and visit and see the ponies in the wild. There's very few places like it in the world. So we lucked out in the 40s, I think.
That's true. And now you guys have acquired BB Ranch. So tell us, and you're going to be helping with that. So tell us about that.
Yes. Okay. I'm going to get goosebumps here talking about this. So just to give a Cliff Note version of the story for everyone, the characters in the book, Misty of Chincoteague, the family that owned that pony, they were the BB family. Clarence and Ida and their grandchildren are main characters in the book. This is a real family. This is a real place. And Grandma and Grandpa BB had, a dozen kids. And even though initially the ranch was the entire end of Chincoteague Island, well over 100 acres, when they passed away, the children get their portion of the ranch, and most of them sell it off over time. They're not horsemen themselves. So there was no reason to keep this piece of land. It's been picked apart. The last 10 plus acres, to me, is the most crucially important, and thank goodness that was a part that stayed in the BB family. Ralph and Jeanette BB owned it. Ralph BB was very instrumental in helping Grandpa BB take care of the ponies. And when Grandpa BB passed away, he actually acquired all of the ponies, including Misty. So he's now the owner of Misty. And his wife, Sweet Jeanette, would not let him sell any portion of the property off, even though there were times it probably would have helped their family tremendously. And she always said, we're not keeping this for ourselves. We're keeping it for the future generations of Chincoteague people and people who love Misty. We want to have a place for them to come to. So she had such foresight. And I'm talking, this was 40, 50 years ago. Well, of course, they pass away, and their children, who are now themselves in their 70s and 80s, decide, we really can't take care of this anymore. We're not physically, financially able to take care of this. We need to do something. We have to sell it. And on Chincoteague, which is a teeny little island, 10 acres of land is heavily coveted. And developers were immediately reaching out to them to try to purchase it. But thankfully, they came to the museum and said, is there any way that you could possibly purchase this piece of property? And the asking price was $625,000. And because of some medical issues in their family, they really needed to sell it within 3 months. So this was such an astronomically big ask. But we, of course, said, yes, we will do it. And of course, we don't have the money to do it. So we put out this huge plea to people. I put out a press release, sent it to every news outlet that I could find, and just said, please consider any sort of a donation, because this is such an important piece of Chincoteague history. And if you ever loved the Ponies or Misty or Margaret Henry, or you just don't want a developer to win this one time, can you help us? And people came out of the woodwork. I wish I had a count for you, but literally thousands and thousands of people sent donations in, and most of them were small, like $5, $20. And that just shows you that even when people themselves probably couldn't afford to give, that book meant something to them and they wanted to help out. And closing date was June 30th in 2023. And the day before closing, we had almost every bit of money saved and collected. We were short $5,000. I put a little post on Facebook just thanking everyone for their support and saying, this is nothing. Like, we'll be able to do a fundraiser next month and raise this $5,000 and buy it free and clear. And we couldn't have done it without you. And then someone walked in our door like 30 minutes later with a check for $5,000. So we unbelievably bought it with just the gifts of everyone coming together to rescue that piece of property. Now, we've spent the last year and a half doing some renovations on the house. It had some foundational work that needed to be done, cleaning up the property a bit. We're not done, but we are ambitiously saying that we're going to open it to the public this summer. We're looking at the end of June. I don't have an exact date, but definitely before the whole pony penning celebration this year. What better year to do it than this is the 100th anniversary of the fire department and pony penning and the carnival and all that. So it seems like the perfect year to kind of unveil the house for everyone and let people come in. And we are creating wonderful exhibits in the house. So it should be just another additional thing that people can come to see. We'll have experiences that people can, interact with the ponies that are there and just have a wonderful, additional thing for them to do while they're visiting Chincoteague. So we could not be more grateful for all the support. And I certainly could not be more excited about the future for that property.
It's just amazing. I mean, talk about a heartwarming story that follows a heartwarming story. I mean, this whole thing is just amazing. The whole story.
It's incredible. There were one or two naysayers that thought, well, this is a terrible idea and you're never going to raise that money and you're going to look like a laughing stock and you're going to have to return people's donations. There's no way you can raise $625,000 in 3 months. This is a small little museum on a small little island. But, I mean, thank goodness that was proven wrong.
Yeah, but it's a small little island with a large impact.
Right. I mean, for sure. Yes. So we took that leap of faith, but I mean, people proved it right, that this is a love affair that people have had with the Chincoteague Ponies.
Well, and
Misty and Margaret Henry. It just goes on and on.
Horse people will help. It's a community of people that will help others too. So, and it's very special to the horse world as well. So yes, ChincoteagueMuseum.com is where you can find all the information. Cindy, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it, and congratulations.
Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.
The State Line TAC HRN coupon is being extended. Get 30% off any $129 order. Enter coupon code HRN at checkout. Horse lovers, are you tired of galloping through your budget every time you need new tack or supplies? Well, then head on over to statelinetack.com, where you can earn rewards on every purchase. They have a new rewards program. You can enjoy the savings just for shopping for the things you love. You earn points for every dollar you spend on saddles, bridles, boots, pretty much everything over there. And you can do it. It's simple. All you have to do is create an account at statelinetack.com and you're automatically enrolled to the rewards program. Jamie, you must have 1,000 points by now. It's free.
Everything's free.
It's free. It's easy and the best way to keep your horse happy and your wallet even happier. Visit statelinetack.com today and start earning rewards. And don't forget to use HRN at checkout if your order is over $129 and you'll get 30% off. Now, please note, some products are not eligible for additional discounts due to manufacturer restrictions. These are noted in your shopping cart, so you'll know ahead of time.
This Horse Health Report is brought to you by Daily Dose Equine Non-GMO Core Nutrition for horses and ponies of all ages. I would like to welcome Dr. Kristi Grand from Conley and Coots Equine Hospital up in the frigid, you can only imagine it's frigid in Indiana. How you holding up?
Oh, well, it's warmer today than it was yesterday by like double. Actually, it's 16 today. So.
Ooh, Ooh, it's
Heat
warmer there
wave.
than it is here.
Oh, really?
Yes, it's a 5 in Oklahoma right now. It's insane. Whatever this is, I don't want to send it back.
Yeah, it's supposed to warm up, but it's not coming fast enough.
Well, Dr. Grant, we were scheduled to have you on to talk about something, but I decided to take this and make it an educational opportunity for everybody who makes bad decisions like I do. Well, not bad, who makes unique decisions like I do. So I don't know how much you heard, but over the weekend, I purchased a Craigslist horse. And I like to say that he's 14 hand-ish. He's like 20-ish, and he's quarter horse-ish. Okay. So that's what I did. He's had a lot of life experience, and oh, thank you so much. But here's the thing. I've never had this to deal with. Like I've had them when they've been starved or they've been this or abused or that. And this horse is none of those things. He's, like I said, he's a 20-ish, quarter horse-ish gelding. And when I was on the phone talking to the sellers, and again, remember, it's Craigslist, and he came from a town called Swink, Oklahoma, which I've asked many people that live in Oklahoma and they've never heard of it. That's how small this town is. I asked them, I said, when was the last time he had his teeth done? And mind you, they've had the horse for 10 to 15 years. I said, when is the last time he had any vet work, his vaccines, teeth, all that? And the guy told me, he goes, oh, no, we don't need to do any of those things down here in Swink. And I was like, oh. Apparently, the place to go is Swink, Oklahoma, if you don't want to do medical care on your horse because they don't need to. So my question, Dr. It's magic. Dr. Kristi, is where do I begin?
So that's a great question, and I've seen plenty of horses in that situation. So the first thing I usually recommend is to have your vet come out and just kind of do a meet and greet, one good thorough once over. Basically try to, the same thing as if it's been 10 to 15 years since you've been to the doctor, right? So where do we stand right now? What needs to be done? Are there any medical problems we need to be aware of? Body condition wise, does he look like maybe we should test him for Cushing's, any of that nature? And usually, I think everyone probably has a little bit of a different approach to it as far as how much work is too much at one time. But usually what I would end up doing is saying, well, what's the most important, right? So if he's maintaining his weight just fine, even if his teeth need done and he needs a vaccine, maybe we'll pick vaccines first, and then we'll come back in a couple of weeks and do teeth and kind of go from there. But usually what I tell people is get your vet on your property, get a good thorough physical exam, see what are some of the problems, if there's any problems that need to be addressed because of this lack of care for a significant period of time, and then make a plan as to how to get it done.
Okay. Yeah. What I think about him is he was not abused, very used, and just kind of like completely neglected as far as medical maintenance goes, but he's not skinny. Yeah. He's not, fearful or anything like that. So what I kind of started doing when he got here is obviously quarantined him and been taking his temperature twice a day. And he's a total 99 degrees. Like apparently they don't need medical care in Swink. So you say, don't throw the kitchen sink at him all at once.
Yeah, usually. And it honestly depends a lot on the horse, and it depends on a lot on the vet and the owner, right? Some people want to spread stuff out financially a little bit. Some people just want to get it done and over with. If your vet thinks that he can handle all of it at one time, then great. The other thing to keep in mind is if he hasn't had dental care in quite some time, it may take a couple visits to get him back where he needs to be. Floating wise, because sometimes those aren't teeth that you can take down all in one fell swoop. But I think you'd be surprised how many horses don't need a whole ton of work when they've been in that situation. It's kind of shocking, honestly. They tend to do a good job. You're probably looking at a horse that needs up to date on vaccines, probably needs some dental work. definitely needs an oral exam just to make sure age-wise we're not talking about missing teeth or loose teeth or anything like that. And then the big thing, again, at that age is, are we looking at any metabolic stuff that needs to be handled? Do his feet look like there's been any history of undiagnosed and unmanaged laminitis, anything of that nature?
Well, I did have the farrier out. So he got here on Sunday. My farrier came out Monday and did not notice anything like that. Now, this horse is not skinny. So even in the middle of winter, I could say he's not having trouble holding weight. But
good.
What we did notice was there was two legs in particular that he had a really hard time holding up peacefully while he was getting his feet trimmed. And obviously it could be the other leg, standing on it, or it could be just some basic joint flexion kind of things. Would you recommend doing a lameness exam?
Yeah, I would absolutely include a basic soundness exam in my physical exam on a horse like that. Get him out, get him moving, do some flexions, see what we think, because, there very well could be some arthritis going on. And is it something that needs to be addressed from a joint injection standpoint, or do we think just getting him on some Equiox or something is sufficient? But yeah, I would absolutely include a soundness exam in your basic physical exam.
So when you have a horse of undetermined age, so like I'm typically pretty good at aging a horse by the teeth, and you check the Galvain's groove, which is kind of, I don't know what your opinion on that is, but he doesn't have one, which by the book, it means he's over 30, but I don't think he's over 30. So what are some good ways to age a horse that's that old?
So yeah, Galvain's groove, it's weird because I didn't used to think there was a huge disparity in them, but lately I've seen a lot of horses that I know are not over 30 that don't have a Galvain's groove. But, you can also look at like shape of teeth and quality of teeth, the grinding down of the molars, their cups and their infundibuli on the surface of the tooth. And that's something that your vet can probably help with. Obviously a horse that's 30 plus is pretty obvious, I think, from other parts about them as far as age, but it's hard when they don't follow the rules as far as Galvain's groove. But yeah, your vet should be able to look and see, again, are those teeth super long and rectangular? Are the surfaces of them ground down solid? There's other parts about the teeth that aren't quite as simple as the Galvain's groove, which is very nice when it works out the way it's supposed to, but sometimes it doesn't. Yeah.
Well, here's the good thing, Dr. Kristi, is that the seller guaranteed me many, many years of easy use. Like, he'll be fine. So there was that.
Let me clarify that. The Craigslist seller in rural Oklahoma.
Craigslist is still a thing.
It's the best place to buy a horse because the people that use Craigslist don't have Facebook or whatever. So typically you get
true.
Older clientele or more rural, and you find little gems like this.
And Dr. Kristi, the other thing we have to do is take Jamie's wine away. We need to do that. That'd be the other thing we have to accomplish.
Was that an influence?
No, not this time.
Oh, not this time. Yeah. I should point out, though, you said that you quarantined him, and that everyone should know that is if you bring a new horse in, and it doesn't matter where it came from, you should absolutely quarantine as best possible for 30 days, 2 weeks minimum, 30 days ideally, from everybody else, just to make sure they're not going to bring anything weird in.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially since, I completely know that this horse has had nothing done and taking the temperature a couple times a day. Thank God he didn't mind. But anything like say, okay, so we're having like a major ice storm and I had to bring him in. So because it was freezing rain and I'm like, hi, welcome to my farm. It sucks here. So I wasn't. Yeah, we're gonna lock you in and I put him in the farthest corner of the barn, and I left us like 2 stalls empty on his left, and then obviously we have the barn out. I don't know if I undid all of the quarantine that I needed to do, but I had to. I couldn't let him die outside. So
yeah, you do what you got to do. Yep, no, you're doing fine.
Yeah. So. Are there anything else that you think of that I can do to improve his comfort or his life. I mean, he never had a blanket on, so I already had to teach him, but he kind of was like, oh my God, okay, that's fine. I don't care. So aside from that, is there anything you would think of, like, I just bought this senior horse off of Craigslist. What are some things that you would do?
So I think you're doing most of them. So definitely quarantine them and then get them good quality veterinary care, because that's where you're going to be able to figure out, what's the best diet for them, what kind of long-term problems, if any, are there that we need to manage. I think horses can be, for the most part, pretty resilient, believe it or not. And so they adjust to, most of them, I think, adjust to new situations pretty well, as long as it's a good new situation. And so, but I think involving your other professionals, like your farrier and your veterinarian, in helping you make sure he's getting everything he needs to get, is your most important thing you can do.
I mean, as quick as this conversation has gone, Glenn, do you know what I've learned is that this is not that big a deal, and people do it all the time, and like, it doesn't matter, and it's going to be really like easy.
Okay. You can tell yourself that.
Dr. Kristi.
Yeah. You can tell yourself that.
Like,
whatever makes you feel better, Jamie.
Dr. Kristi doesn't seem to think it's a big mistake or a big deal. So obviously everything is fine.
You know what I was wondering though? I'm sick. It sounds like
done, right?
It sounds like Dr. Kristi is sick. I'm sick. We quarantine horses when we bring them in. We should quarantine the humans, because maybe.
Oh my gosh, the children. Yeah. I'm getting over it, but oh my gosh, the kids this year have been little germ factories.
Yeah. I have 2 in my house that are going to 2 different schools, so I get double the germs. And my husband's an on an airplane all the time, so it's like a petri dish in my house.
Yes. Yeah, that sounds horrible.
So that's why I sad buy horses off Craigslist. Okay, that's what I do to cope. Whatever works. Well, Dr. Kristi, if people want to get a hold of you and learn more about you, where can they find you?
We are on Facebook and the internet. Sorry, ckequinehospital.com. But we're always happy to take any questions or conversations or whatever. So
let me clarify: you're not on Craigslist. Is that correct?
I don't think we're on Craigslist. Maybe we should put an ad on Craigslist.
Yeah, you don't know who you might find.
Yeah, that's probably a problem.
Maybe you could convince people in Swink, Oklahoma, to practice medical care on their equines. That'd be amazing.
Maybe that's possible. We can try. All
right, thanks, Kristi.
Perfect.
Daily Dose Equine Horse Feeds has 4 different formulas that we're going to chat about very briefly today. First one on the list balances the needs of horses who need calories, but they also need a little bit of focus. What's that one called?
Called Mass No Sass.
They also have a formula that's going to balance the needs of a horse that needs a lot of energy because he is a high performance competitor. What's that one?
That one is called Freestyle Performance or Trail Mix.
Dun, 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 because yes, trail horses can be high performance animals. And for senior horses or horses who have dental issues,
that one's called Senior.
Tough to remember. And for those who want a top quality non-GMO feed, which is what all of Daily Dose Equines feeds are, but they also have a really serious budget that they need to stick to. What do you have for them?
We call that product Sweet and Safe.
You can enjoy your favorite equine videos all in one place with Ride TV, the ultimate equine streaming platform. The newly relaunched Ride TV has all the series you love, like Cowgirls and Ridiculous Ranches, plus top-tier training videos and event footage from BailRacing.com and Horse and Rider on Demand. Whether you're ready to relax with your favorite series, binge watch competition footage, or train with a world champion, subscribe to Ride TV today for only $19.99 to see where your ride takes you. Visit ridetvgo.tv to subscribe.
Time to learn why some days you're embarrassed to be part of the human race. In Jamie's Weird News.
That's right. It's a time of the week where I let you know about stories that you guys send me. If you're ever looking through your news source or wherever it is, and you see a story and you're like, whoa, that is so weird. Email it to me, weirdnews@horseradionetwork.com. Just like, are you ready? 1 week. This is amazing. Delia, Nicole, Shelly, Janelle, Laureen, Clark, Lindsay, Denise, Claire, and Carrie all did. Glenn even sent me one too. So thank you guys all for sending the weird news at horseradionetwork.com. Now, multiples of you sent me one story, and it doesn't do it justice until you see the video. So you'll have to Google this when you have a second to watch this video. And Glenn, you can do it right now too. Google man swallowed by humpback whale.
Oh, I saw that one. Jennifer thinks it's bogus, but go ahead and tell the story.
Well, what's bogus about it is like, I don't know if it's bogus or not, but like the fact that the dad kept filming. I'd be like, oh my God. So yeah, a humpback whale. Apparently there's this man and his son. They were kayaking out in a freezing ocean. Because what could possibly go wrong? Why would you kayak out in the ocean when it's like freezing and cold outside?
It was down south, wasn't it?
In the Chilean Patagonia.
Well, it's south down there. So it's summer down there. So it might be warm.
No, they said that the water was like frigid.
Oh.
So I don't know how cold it was. I didn't do a temperature check, but apparently humpback whales down in Patagonia this time of year are hungry. So this guy's kayaking along and his dad's in another kayak filming him kayak. And I didn't take it from it could be fake, Glenn. If it's fake, they have tricked everybody because this has been on NBC, BBC, all of the news sources. So this guy is kayaking along and this humpback whale just breaches and swallows him and the kayak. Like it's gone.
Like Moby Dick.
And like Moby Dick, like boom, gone. And then you see him go under. And then in about, I don't know, seconds later, you see him go like out pops the kayak and the man. Oh my God, I think you're right. There's no way it's real. Anyway, they are not there. His name is Adrian Samakas and his dad, Dell, were sitting there talking, trapped the young man in his yellow kayak in his mouth for a few seconds before letting him go. The dad meters away, kept videoing while encouraging his son to stay calm. I don't know, from inside the belly of the stay calm, son. I know you've just been swallowed by a whale. It'll be fine. It's fine. Adrian said, I thought it had eaten me and swallowed me.
When I eat fish, I spit it out. So maybe he just doesn't like humans. Just like, human. Well,
he probably liked the humans. It was just the darn kayak that got in the way. I'm like, ugh.
That's a little harder than I thought it was going to be. That's funny. Not funny, but funny. Oh, wait a minute. That's closing music.
My God, it's over? Well, I had to get that one out of the way because we've got to start and end in Florida, and I should have done this one first because this is a town that is just outside of Tampa. Very sad, tragic story of a tractor trailer overturning on a Florida highway and spilling 44,000 pounds of, do you want to guess?
Cocaine, because that would fit in Florida too.
That would 44,000 pounds of cocaine. Let's go with something a little less illegal. Beer. Busch Light and Budweiser, 44,000 pounds of it. Basically, the guy driving the tractor trailer just took a corner too fast and spilled.
Was it liquid, like a big tanker, or was it cans?
Cans and cans and cans of beer. Like, it's covering everything. Busch Light and Budweiser. Do you know my brother used to deliver beer in Athens, Georgia? He was a truck driver. I mean, no, it's in most of it's in the can. Just go pick it up. Free beer. Let's go.
I bet you people were too, weren't they? Free beer.
I'm sure they were. Next. All right, I'm going to put these two animal stories together because I just, we have to have our snake story of the week and also a cry to those of you out there who are like me and hate doing laundry. You don't have to do it anymore. This is going to be your permission to never do laundry again if you live in Australia.
Send me a note when this is over because I don't want to hear it. It's just, I'll take my headphones off.
Don't do laundry in Australia because a Australian snake catcher responded to a family's home where the world's second most venomous snake was found in their washing machine. That's right. just go to get your laundry out, and there's a eastern brown snake hatchling in the washing machine. And they were like, and they had to get a snake catcher out to get him, and they caught him, and everything's fine. I'm sorry, where did the hatchling come from? I'm going to need a little more information.
I don't want to know. La, 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 la.
Well, I would like to know if it's going to be like having its brothers and sisters look for it, or its big old mama or daddy.
I don't know.
Unbelievable. They said the reptile wrangler was able to capture and relocate the snake without any injuries to humans, reptiles, or laundry. Okay. I don't know. I need more information. Okay. We'll put that together with the, I'll give you a better story.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'd get my mind off of that
And
one.
a better animal
I'll
story.
never do wash
Yeah.
again.
So we're going to go to Nebraska because this lady, she went to Costco and she was shopping and brought all her Costco items home. And she had bought like one of those giant chocolate cakes, and she couldn't fit it in her fridge. And so it's cold outside.
Well,
so
those
she
things
just
are
put
like
it
a
on-
yard long, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah. And so she couldn't fit it anywhere. She probably should have thought of that. But you know what? She can't do anything about it right now. It's cold outside. She just put it on her patio. What could possibly go wrong? I don't know. The son goes out to get the chocolate cake later on because they're having dinner and they want some chocolate mousse cake. And he realizes the top is off and there's footprints in it and half of it is gone. They don't have any dogs. They don't have any cats. They're like,
oops,
what the hell ate our Costco chocolate mousse cake? And then they look out in the yard and there's a very sick possum. Oh my God. Very sick possum.
Huh?
So they rushed it to the wildlife rehab center and
Really?
yes,
Talk
they
about
did
caring people.
I mean, x-rays, blood work. Here's the list of the like handwritten intake form. Opossum was brought in due to having eaten an entire Costco chocolate cake. He was panting a lot, however, mobile and very alert. Yeah, I would imagine he's alert when you put your hand
All that
on him.
sugar.
Exactly.
It's all sugared up. Now, you and I would do that. We'd be kind and actually bring the possum in, and they would charge us $1,000 for his vet care.
I know. Oh, it doesn't say who's going to pay for it.
Yeah.
Costco's going to get a bill. Okay, we're going to end in Florida. This is so Florida. It makes me so happy. Okay. Where is Alachua County?
I don't know, actually.
Oh, Gainesville.
Oh, it's
my
Gainesville.
God.
Oh, Gainesville is
Totally,
Alachua?
up where
Okay. Now I know.
my family is. Well, I don't know, but apparently. Okay, so
Yeah,
the
it's
Sheriff's
Gainesville,
Department,
right up the street from me.
they have a Facebook page, and every once in a while they'll post things like, wanted pictures of people, like the Warrants Bureau posted, and it says here, do you have any information on the whereabouts of Quantaria Richardson? You might know her by one of her other names. If so, please contact investigator, blah, 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 blah. And then they posted the wanted picture and her mugshot where she is smiling. Well, Quantaria, also known as Alize Richardson, shared it and says, shit, I ain't hard to find. Do your job. She shares their Facebook post and says, do your job.
That's as
I
Florida
ain't
as
hard
you
to
can
find.
get.
Well, fortunately, Alachua County Sheriff's Department saw a share and went to that post and saw that Alize had shared her post and then commented underneath it and said, hey, Alize Richardson, low key, you ate that. Lucky for you. We are used to those who play hard to get. Real talk. Oh, by the way, this was on February 14th. Real talk, though. Be our Valentine. Slide into our DMs and we will pick you up in a custom green and white whip. We have jewelry that'll fit your wrist perfectly, and we have already reserved the bed and breakfast in town. See you soon, heart emoji.
You got to give the cops in Florida credit for their sense of humor. And you would have to have a sense of humor to be a cop in Florida.
I love it. Jeez. Do your job. I ain't hard to find. Oh, God. Well, they going to find you now.
It's funny. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us. If you want to send weird news to Jamie, how do they do it?
WeirdNews@horseradionetwork.com.
You want to send in some really bad ads for Jennifer for their Friday? Send them to Jennifer@horseradionetwork.com. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Auditors, hold on. We're going to have an auditor highlight where we meet one of our auditors, Holly Pryor. It's going to be joining us right after this. See you, everybody.
All right, everybody. Spay, neuter, gal. Have a good one. Stay warm.